Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Fine Disaster. This is Battlefield 4, and in today's video, we're going to be saying goodbye. Goodbye to Battlefield 4, as it's now time to move on to the next iteration of the Battlefield franchise. Battlefield 1 is literally around the corner. For a matter of fact, if you have Origin Access and pre-ordered, you should be able to start playing Battlefield 1 today. And as such, it's time to say, well, it's time to move on from Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 1. That's not, however, with a little bit of a send-off. I thought we'd talk a little bit about today how Battlefield 4 has developed, what's been learned from Battlefield 4 for the future of the Battlefield franchise, what's already maybe been implemented, what maybe still could be improved on, and we're a little bit going to be talking about the transition from Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 1, both for me as a player and of course from the YouTube perspective, so that you guys know what's up. We're also going to be asking a little bit of feedback on your side, so stick around to the end for that. Starting off with then the development of Battlefield 4. Much has improved since we first got our hands on the game. I mean, it's fair to say that the game was borderline unplayable once it first came out, and is now borderline perfect, at least in my opinion, from a technical standpoint, and most of the weapon balance as well is kind of on point. Not everything is great about Battlefield 4, but to compare the first iteration of Battlefield 4 to its current one, there is certainly a significant difference between the two, and I think anybody who's played it throughout that time period will recognize that a lot of work has gone into it from the side of DICE. That's not to say that this game shouldn't have been in a similar state to what it is now already at launch, but that's another discussion for another time. So what we learned, well, DICE can screw up, and I think DICE has learned their lesson. We saw it in Battlefield Hardline. They no longer screwed up their launch, at least not too massively. On the technical side, weapon balance was off, admittedly, and there was lacking content, but the netcode was more or less on point with Battlefield Hardline. And from what we've gathered from the public beta and other YouTubers regarding Battlefield 1, once more, the technical side should be more or less well kept. It shouldn't be too many bugs once the game launches. Of course, there's going to be some, but that's always the case with a big AAA title launching, especially when it's multiplayer. Some of the bugs still have to be found and kind of ironed out. But for now, I'm confident that we have learned our lesson regarding getting games out when they're stable and not beforehand. Now, another thing that kind of has improved, of course, besides DICE screwing up and netcode terms and stuff like that, is weapon balance. At least in Battlefield 4, towards the end, a lot of emphasis was put on balancing out weapons, class, and vehicles. Whether or not this is going to be the case for Battlefield 1 is yet to be determined. True weapon balance analysis can only really happen once we've had our hands on the full game, with a variety of game modes, with quite a bit of time to test it out with a number of players, kind of gaining skills, learning how to deal with vehicles with certain weapons, and then we can really talk about this. But I am confident in this matter because, of course, I've seen DICE put a huge amount of effort into balancing out weapons in Battlefield 4. While I don't always agree with their decisions, I do necessarily see the reason behind it and the fact that they are kind of thinking when they're doing their weapon balance. So I'm confident on this side, and I think we've learned quite a bit in Battlefield 4 regarding this. At least developers have learned quite a bit regarding weapon balance from Battlefield 4. Now, another thing is map balance, and I hope at least they've learned something from this. Battlefield 4's map balance was lacking, and it wasn't fixed. I mean, you can't really fix that. Some of the later maps we got, some of the Dragon Valley or Operation Outbreak, were really very well balanced, at least in my opinion. Not everybody agrees on this, but they were certainly an improvement, especially regarding the rush game mode over some of the other rush maps that we got throughout Battlefield's history. I hope they've taken this into Battlefield 1. From what I've gathered, from what I've seen regarding gameplay and map layouts and things, it looks rather promising. That is to say, with the exception of the actual map that we played in the beta. I did not think that was thought very well through regarding map balance. It wasn't awful, but there was certainly room for improvement. So I'm cautiously confident regarding map design in Battlefield 1. I think they've got it down. I'm not sure. I hope they certainly have learned their lessons from Battlefield 4. Now, an interesting question I wanted to ask you guys was, what are you going to remember Battlefield 4 for? I mean, there's a number of different things that you probably will. In my case, it's going to be quite a bit of salt regarding camping bipods, flare through smoke, or endless mortar spam. But there's going to be some positive memories in there as well regarding kind of getting really into a Battlefield title online multiplayer. It's the first shooter that I picked up and put quite a bit of time into the multiplayer online for. So for me, it's kind of the emergence of myself as not a competitive, but certainly a rather eager online multiplayer shooter. I've been putting over 1,000 hours into the game. I can say I thoroughly, though, enjoyed my time playing Battlefield 4, despite its glitches, its bugs, and some game mechanics that I fundamentally don't agree with, but don't we all have that? So I wanted to ask you what you're going to remember Battlefield 4 for. And another interesting question is, what do you think was the hardest thing to do in Battlefield 4? Now, I don't mean trolling like going on a 20 kill streak with a knife. What game mechanic was the hardest to learn? For me, it's probably flying. I never liked flying, and I can't fly in Battlefield. I can fly in other games, but I can't fly in Battlefield. And sniping took quite a bit of time on my part to pick up and properly master. In the meantime, I am a decent sniper, whereas not the world's best by no means, but certainly a decent sniper. Those are the two mechanics that I remember took quite a long time for me to master, to get to a point where I was confident that going into engagements, I was usually coming out the winner. At least in my opinion. I never learned flying, but I did learn sniping, as said. So let me know what your kind of hardest things to learn were in Battlefield 4. Whether or not you managed to actually get it down in the end, like I did with sniping, or not, like I did with flying. Be interesting to know what you guys felt was the most difficult part of Battlefield 4 for you. And another point I wanted to talk about today was my thoughts on Battlefield 1, besides the ones we've already mentioned, of course, when comparing Battlefield 4 and what I hope they brought into Battlefield 1. I'm cautiously confident about kind of game modes and the map designs. I've already said the game mode operations seems to look very promising. I'm still worried, of course, about Rush, because what we saw in Battlefield Beta was a broken version of Rush, but I'm cautiously confident that they fixed that as well. I'm looking forward to finally getting my hands on it and knowing DICE, if it's rubbish and if there's still kind of some tweaks that need to be done, they're usually going to get behind it relatively quickly, like they did towards the end of Battlefield 4's life cycle. So I am overall looking forward to Battlefield 1, whereas I'm still a little bit cautious regarding some aspects of the game. As we all know, I'm more of a Rush player than a Conquest player, so I hope they fix Rush, or at least the Operations game mode replaces Rush in a suitable manner. Now, there was also a few other things that I wanted to clarify with you guys. Now, obviously, Battlefield 1 is coming. This is a Battlefield channel. We're going to be moving from Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 1 regarding content. We won't necessarily be starting off with our typical weapon design, weapon showdown, weapon loadouts, etc. like that, because we'll need the stats to come out first for that. But we certainly will be moving over to Battlefield 1 content. Now, I still have some Battlefield 4 content I can cover. That is to say, I've already recorded gameplay. All I have to do is edit a video and give it to you. So if you're interested in something like a P90 or AR-160 weapon review, feel free to leave me a comment down below, and I'll consider actually posting those, despite actually it kind of being too late to post them. So if there's interest in them, feel free to let me know. Also, let me know, are you guys switching to Battlefield 1? Or am I going to be the only one of the disastrous crew actually to pick it up and play it? Are you all sticking with Battlefield 4? What are your thoughts regarding the soon-to-be launched Battlefield 1? Are you looking forward to it or not? And are you looking forward to my content on the matter? Feel free to already kind of start coming up with suggestions for Battlefield 1. You can already leave them down below in the comments if you want to, and I'll put them on my usually very long suggestion list that's derived from the number of comments that I get. But with all that being said, this is kind of a goodbye to Battlefield 4, at least for now on this channel. We may have a reappearance from time to time just to go back, compare, relive some of the old days, as we will soon be saying. But with that being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you in the next Battlefield video.